new version of the drum modified, and I've also added the wear plate for the L bracket. Just a reminder, be sure that you read the instructions for your Unicender. There's important information. This is a video. I'm climbing a walnut in Tennessee, just going up and down, making a bunch of examples. Right here, I've found that the new device or the new drum is anodized. And if you'll take a file or coarse sandpaper and scrape that off, file it off, whatever, you'll find that starting out it works a lot better. The Unicender is just a great tool. I mean, the way it goes up and down a rope, unmatched. I mean, there's other tools out there. The Unicender definitely has its niche. Um, we've added this fair lead on the wear plate, which really helps when you're out trying to come back from a limb walk. Limb walking is not the Unicender's great um, trait, but it does it pretty well, and this fair lead helps keep that rope oriented and in the proper place. Um, we're going to go up the rope a few times and just demonstrate how well it works. I think going straight up a rope is perfect. I usually, once I'm in my harness, I'll sit back, look at my anchor, listen to the tree, make sure everything's good before I start walking up the rope. Again, there's just hardly any resistance. Look at how close you can snug right up against your anchor when you're going up into the tree. I'm going to move my anchor around a bit. That's kind of how I climb anyway. But it's when you're trying to advance your anchor up a tree, um, that distance between your harness and the anchor makes a big difference. So you're able to capture small amounts and work your way up the stem of the tree if you want. It works really well. So I'll move it up, I'll lanyard in, I'll move it again. Pretty quick here, I'm going to switch it over to a quickie. I always start with an alpine butterfly because from the ground I just want to make sure that it's going up properly. When I'm up in the tree, I can see that quickie and I can make sure that the pin is properly oriented. I use a separate retrieval line, so I'll put that on, and if I need to retrieve it from another part of the tree, if I'm going laterally, I'll take that retrieval line with me as well. So again, I moved over to a different part of the tree, kind of there's this another part of the stem that's a little bit more vertical, and going up there. So I'll remove my anchor. One of the advantages of moving your anchor around like that is once you get up in the tree, you can really evaluate your anchors. And my anchor is my life support. I usually have a primary anchor, and I'll be using a secondary if I need it or something. Again, the Unicender is just great for being able to move and get close to your anchors. So that's the compressed mode, I would call it. And this is with the drum and the wear plate on the L bracket. It functions just like or similarly to when the Unicender doesn't have that on there. The drum adds some extra functionality, which I will demonstrate as well. But you know, you can take it on and off the rope. It works just fine. Here's where I lock it in. There's a little groove in there. You can lock that in, and then nothing's going to come down the limb and take you down the tree with it. So I'm just going to go up and down the tree a whole bunch of times and get a good feel for how that drum works. Again, there you go into compressed mode. In this case, I'm coming up, and if you're not pulling the tail, you know, on some
So that
devices
would
you
get
can
kind
just
of
let the
annoying.
tail pull through, but
So let's just
Not
take.
so much on the Unicender because you have to have a brake hand on that tail. It's like a figure eight. If you don't have a brake hand on that tail, then you're not controlling the
Almost have
friction.
to kind of pull that through.
So in this case, I'm going to go all the way down. We'll let the tail catch up with us. Notice I have to take my hand all the way off, and you should have your brake hand. You should have hold of the rope. And in this case, I do have a hold of the tail by having it captured with that carabiner. As soon as the rope comes back up over the limb, see, I'm holding the tail that's going up and going past me. And as soon as that's gone past me, then I need to get my other hand back over on the tail. And as soon as I hit the ground, you'll see that tail come down and land next to me. But that helps you get through a limb without having to yard all that rope over through there. One thing I've noticed, it depends on the rope you're using. Tomorrow I'm going to do a video using different ropes. But if you need extra friction, when you pull the rope around, you can kind of give it an angle there. And you'll notice in my video in a little bit, there's places where um, I'm not using a lot of friction because I've given it that extra little contact. Now I'm going to try a little bit of double moving rope, and I'm finding that the compressed mode works well with that. It doesn't take much friction from my brake hand, but works quite well.
So you can do it.
Squeezing the plates together and trying like this, trying to get
And
some
now if you do
control,
that, it's
it's
still
just kind
turning
of jerky.
on
That
this
I
rope.
just don't find that works
Jumpy
very well for me. I
with
would
my
rather
weight.
go into that
And this rope,
compressed mode.
it ends up
And
moving
also,
around the
you're
house.
saving the wear on those clutches or those
With the
plates.
drum,
If they're all compressed together, the rope is just going
there's
to
very
travel
little
through there rather than
on this
using those
side.
plates for
It
friction.
still uses it.
It's using the drum and the L
The
bracket. That's where it's getting all its friction from, plus on your brake hand. I don't find sending particularly um, efficient. I mean, it's easier on double moving rope like I'm doing right there, but you have to take twice as many steps. Later on in this video, I go up and down the tree a bunch of times using that method. Again, look at how
very little friction.
little friction I have on my brake hand. Now, right here is what I'm talking about. If you tuck that kind of against the side, you'll get that extra friction, and it'll take some of the friction off of your hand. So here I'm going to go ahead and yard the line through and then continue to go back down. Again, right there, if you tuck it in that little spot, then you'll pick up some extra friction and you'll have that much less friction on your hand. The unicender is kind of like a figure eight. You know, you are controlling friction by controlling that tail. That's where all your friction is going to come from. You can see I'm not really holding the rope very tight right there. It's just kind of going past my thumbs and um, not taking a lot to hold on to it. Again, one more time with it kind of tucked at the end of that fair lead and tucked to the other side if you need to get some extra friction. Using the unicender is all about managing the friction, and every individual is going to be a little different because of the climber's weight and the type of rope that is being used. So it's impossible to say exactly what each climber is going to have to do. tucking that in. You tuck it into that side, and then compress the links. And if you're finding you need extra friction, that's a great way to get it. Going in and out of that descent mode just seems pretty smooth. I used to use a strumming method to try to lessen that, but with this new drum and the way that it's modeled and smoothed on the edges, it just seems to roll on and off and make that engagement so much more comfortable. And this is bringing that anchor down. Um, that, that little carabiner clears that.
This doesn't really involve the drum or the wear plate,
So, and
but I think it's a fair explanation of limb walking, and it's not going to be a great demonstration. I'm not up in the tree, I'm just standing here on the ground. But, a lot of people talked about a pulley on here and wanting a pulley, and I've played with pulleys out there, and I just don't find it that effective. It's like putting lipstick on a racing horse. It's just not. It's not what the Unicender does. It's not its niche. It's great going up SRT and then double the rope moving around. As far as moving around double rope, if you're coming back from a limb walk, you might be doing something like this. A lot of your friction is up there in your limb, and coming into it this way with a pulley isn't going to help that much. I think most of you would find, if you're coming back from a limb walk, you're going to be manipulating it this way, or you're going to be doing something like this, to get yourself back. And if you're going out on a limb, you're probably going to be doing this. And I don't find the Unicender with a pulley being particularly effective in setting up mechanical advantage 3-to-1 or a compound 6-to-1 and all of that with a pulley right there. So just wanted to mention that. The Unicender is just a beautiful device. It has its niche.
So here's some examples. In the manual, they talk about using an adjustable tether. Now, I've been climbing on an adjustable bridge for a long time, and I like it. I mean, it's a personal option, but in this case, it makes it so nice because you can bring that down close to your bridge and get the Unicender out of your way. If your bridge is very long, the Unicender ends up being right where your hands are trying to go. And there's a way to get around that too, and I'll show you in a minute. Walking up the tree, you can put your hands around the tree. But like right here, if my hands are hitting the Unicender, then coming up, once I get to my anchor point, I'll put on my lanyard, take off my knee ascender, all these things, and make sure I'm on the lanyard, and then I'll lengthen my bridge back out. Puts the Unicender back in a comfortable place for being in front of my hands. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful and demonstrated some of the use of the Unicender with the drum and the new wear plate for that L bracket. Right there again, if you have your bridge at normal length, you can be hitting your hands. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and if you have any questions, my email is there. I'll be happy to I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can. Thank you.